So let's go ahead and take a look at the PCAP now. And as I said, when you do an LS, you do see the PCAP there. The first thing that I'm going to show you is how we can use Zeek to basically take that PCAP and break it into a bunch of different log files that we can then parse with Zeek and Zeek cut. So if I run this command, you're going to use a -R, and then we look at the results of what happened. Now you can see that in that directory, instead of just the 2 threat hunting intro files, we now have all these log files. And this is where Bro has basically, or Zeek has basically broken it into a bunch of pieces for us. So let's just start looking at some of these. We'll start very basic and we'll get to some more complex stuff. And you're also going to see what I meant by we're going to be learning Linux in the process, because half of the knowledge we're going to get from these files are going to be things that are based on just using Linux command line. Now, if we just did a cat, for example, this is just reading flat text of the con.log, which is a connection log. You can see that it's kind of all over the place. There's a lot of different stuff there. So part of what we'll do to make this a little bit more digestible for us is use something called Zeek cut, which is a utility that comes with Zeek. Okay, so we could also clean it up by piping it to Zeek cut, but we can also just run Zeek cut against it by doing so. And then we will point to the con log file again. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually show you how to look at timestamp initially. We want to look at origin IP, like so. And now we can see we do indeed get source IP and destination IP. Now we can add to this, by simply adding things such as source and destination port. So inside this command, I can come back and say, well, let me do origin port as well. And that's with the P. And then we would do origin port the same way, or destination port with the P also. And when we do that, now you can see we get source and destination IP and port. All right, so we're starting to build more information. We can also specify things like protocol. Okay, so I could actually add to that to the end just proto, which is short for protocol. And you can see now it tells us if it's TCP, UDP, ICMP. Now, if I were to, for example, look at the DNS log, all right, one of the things that you can see in DNS log is queries. Because think about how we use DNS. We ask a DNS server, hey, where is a specific, Facebook, Yahoo, Google, whatever, and the DNS server responds back to us. Well, that request that we send out is called a query. So if I say just show me queries, it actually gives me all of the DNS queries that show up in that traffic. Now that means somebody did a query for Facebook.com. Somebody did a query for these. So we already see some instances there of where maybe there's some inappropriate use going on kind of in real time here. Now the next thing is, well, who made that query? Well, we can basically look at that and see, okay, we can see where the query came from, but we can also see what the answer was. So what did the DNS server say about where Facebook was? Well, let's just do that by saying we're going to do the query, but we're also going to see the answer. All right. Now, I kind of intuitively want to know queries and answers based on the fact that I know how DNS works and I know how we use it every day. So this is again an example of where if you have that background information, you will come to some of these conclusions on your own. Now I can see clearly here in the first resolution that it says that Facebook is at this internal, what appears to be an internal IP address, and that already is starting to make me suspicious because I know that Facebook is not at this company's internal, non-routable IP address. So now I'm going to just apply some Linux to it. I'm going to say, all right, let's grep for just Facebook, since that seems to be a little bit weird. And I can clearly see that, yep, a couple of times at least here, there was a Facebook query that resolve to this weird internal IP address. Let's take a little bit of time to look at the connection log. Now again, this is the intro for you getting used to using Zeek cut and Zeek syntax. But we're gonna go so much deeper into all these. So I wanna look at the connection log, and I wanna show you something that, again, might be something that would be of interest to us. So I'm gonna look at source and destination IP. All right, and I wanna look at something called duration. All right, and duration is simply how long a connection lasted. And if I do that, I can see the duration. So what you see here is the source IP on the left, the destination IP here, and then you can see the duration over here on all the way to the right. What might be interesting to me is, first of all, let's add the protocol call to this. And part of what I want you to also see here is as we go through, even though we're switching to different logs, some of these filters are synonymous across the logs. Some of them aren't. For example, ID origin and ID respondent, those are pretty significantly synonymous. So that means you can use that flag across all the different logs. But certain ones like duration and protocol may not be. So I'm kind of trying to show you that little bit as well here. So if we did IP, source and destination, and protocol, we can see TCP versus UDP versus ICMP. Now I might want to filter on that, and then now we're going to go some basic Linux again. I'm going to grep for just TCP. All right, and all I'm doing at the end here, so you can see this, is saying grep space TCP. And now I'm seeing just the TCP traffic. Okay, now what I might want to do as well is I might want to sort this, or actually, let's do unique, another Linux thing. This is not a Zeek thing, this is a Linux thing. I might actually pipe this to something called unique that looks like so, and show me what it actually looks like. So it shows me each unique string, but it gives me counts. Now in this case, each count is 1, so that doesn't really help me a ton. All right, but if I were to now say, sort it, by duration, because maybe I want to actually see that, okay? Because we've got source, destination, count, and duration showing up here. Maybe I want to sort it by duration. And if we look at that, look at what we can do. I can say pipe this one more time to sort, and sort it by number. And if we do that, it doesn't really do anything for us because the first field is what it uses by default, and it's all the same, it's all ones. But the field we want to sort based on is this field, because that's a duration field. So that is field 4, because this is field 1, 2, 3, and 4. Well, if I say sort by field 4, all right, and we can do that with sort, that's a -K flag. So I'm going to say K4, like so. And now suddenly we can see that we have the highest duration connections at the bottom and the longest duration connections, or the shortest duration connections, at the top. Since I want to see long durations first, we can simply tell sort, do that in reverse order with the -R flag. And by the way, I want to see just TCP, so I can grep for TCP out of those results. And now what we've got is going from top to bottom, we can see the longest duration connections, which this one's 207 seconds, which is pretty long, and we can see it down by order. What should also be noted of interest is these are all like really close to being the exact same duration, okay? Which that could tell us some information, but definitely the fact that these durations here are way longer, specifically this first one, longer than all the others, that is a point of interest for us. So that's a point of interest. These ones that are almost exactly the same are points of interest. All these things are points of interest that as we dig into this with Zeek a lot more in the next few videos, it's going to give us some really good information to go hunt with Wireshark. All right, so thanks for watching. Practice this, practice these little few techniques, because we're going to add a lot onto this. in the next video. Thanks for watching.